Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Before I could reject him. Blurb. I cried as the big guy dragged my engagement ring from my finger. What are you doing? No. I yelled as he tossed the diamond ring in the trash. You belong to me. Do you get it? Only mine. His magnificent green eyes penetrated mine. Never. I rejected. I didn't end the sentence as his lips were on mine, pushing my lips into a painful kiss. Alice has everything worked out in her life, including a wonderful fiancé and a brilliant job. Except for one little secret: she was a werewolf. She had command of her life. Following the murder of her parents in a brutal attack, she had been transported to reside with her aunt, a keeper. One could refer Alice an urban werewolf as she had no intentions to find her spouse. Everything changed, though, when the most beautiful, most powerful, and most lethal alpha of the United States stated her to be his companion. Her wolf was in heat as her head warned against the marriage. How can she avoid becoming his Luna? Episode 1. The loud beeping of my phone roused me from sleep. I shut the alarm and snuggled under the covers for a few more minutes. I usually take time to wake up, so I have set an early alarm. I finally dragged myself out of the bed and quickly got into my daily routine. I am an architect. At 24, I am one of the youngest employees of Barton and Tom, one of the leading construction firms in London. Grabbing my coffee, I walked onto the train. I always keep my headphones on because I can hear everything. I mean, literally, everything. I have extraordinary senses because I am not normal. I have extraordinary speed, agility, and strength. No, I am not some superhero. I am a werewolf. However, unlike most werewolves, I do not live in a pack. No, I am not a rogue wolf, either. I belong to one of the most powerful packs in North America, the Jade Moon Pack. I am very much in touch with my older brother, the alpha of the pack, Rick Anderson, and the pack beta, Bobby. My father's beta, Thomas Jackson, and his lovely wife Martha. I even visit my pack annually during Christmas. However, I prefer living independently. Rather, I have gotten used to this lifestyle. There is a reason I live away. When I was 9, I accompanied my parents to New York City for some inter-werewolf conference. I was overly excited about the trip, as we were staying right in front of Central Park. But things did not turn out as expected. I remember little, but my father died trying to protect me from the rogues and other packs. Werewolves are violent and territorial. They fight over the littlest of things. My father died in a war. My mother died soon after because of a broken heart. They were mates. That is one reason I want to avoid finding my mate. The mated wolves are like two halves of a soul. They either die or turn mad with grief if their mate is lost. Very few wolves survive the ordeal of losing their mates. I want to avoid being one of them. Though my wolf has been searching for her mate ever since I hit puberty and shifted for the first time. After my mother's death, I was sent off to Australia to live with my aunt. Aunt Flora is a keeper. Keepers are humans who are aware of werewolves and other supernatural beings. Werewolves are very secretive and stay hidden from humans. There might be a werewolf living right next to you, and you would never know it. However, living among humans requires some amount of human interactions, for example tax filing, property dealings, and various legal stuff. Keepers are such humans who know about us and help us. My mother was also a keeper until she met my father, and they discovered they were mates. I did not live in Australia for long, and as soon as I shifted for the first time, my aunt moved to Europe. There are no wolves in Australia, hence no werewolf packs. If I were accidentally spotted by someone while out for a run, it would be hard to explain a wolf in the country. The UK does not have any wild wolves either. They were all hunted down by the end of the 17th century. Most of the werewolf packs migrated to the New World to avoid prosecution back in Europe. Hence, very few packs remained in Europe and none in the UK. They thrived in North America, soon adapting to the vast tracts of land and the wildernesses. I have got control of my wolf now. I rarely shift unless I am in total isolation. I enjoy being human. Alice. How was your weekend? Elsa, my pretty redhead colleague, asked me as soon as I had reached my cubicle. Nothing much, I visited Aunt Flora. How about you? I asked, while shoving my bag in the drawer. Well, just the usual clubbing. I missed you. Join me next week with Mark, of course. Elsa grinned at me. I just laughed it off. Mark Barton, the heir to the Barton and Tom, is my boyfriend. When is he coming back from his business trip? Middle of this week, hopefully, I replied. Mark and I have been together for the last 2 years. He hit on me right after I joined his company. I am used to getting male attention. I am not tall. I am an average 5'4" tall, but I have a slim body, dark hair, and hazel eyes. Everyone says I look like my mother. She was beautiful, perhaps. I inherited some of her good looks. Initially, I avoided Mark because dating the heir of the company I worked for would have been unprofessional. But Mark was very persuasive, not to mention sweet and kind. Unlike wolves, who are very protective. I cannot stand obsessive partners. Another reason I do not want a mate. Mark is a human and, like everyone else in the office and my friends' circle, he does not know that I am a werewolf. I have successfully kept my wolf concealed all these years, and I plan to keep it that way. However, someday I would have to reveal my true nature to him. I do not know how he would react. I have been avoiding that situation so far. The day went on uneventfully, boring. I enjoy boring because my life back in the US was extraordinary. I had just entered my one-bedroom flat when my phone rang. It was Emma, Beta Thomas's daughter, and one of my best friends. I turned on the video call and smiled at her. Like most werewolves of our age, she had found her mate. Bobby, her mate, was my brother's Beta. Hi, Emma, what's up? I asked. Emma, with her golden locks, smiled from the other side. I can't wait to meet you. You are coming for the Christmas vacation, right? Only if you promise not to force me to meet the other alphas, I replied. Emma and everyone else who was close to me did not approve of my human boyfriend. Not because he was a human, but because he was not my mate. For werewolves, finding their mate is the most crucial aspect of their life. They were baffled because I was disinterested in finding my mate. It is hard to explain. I just do not want to end up like my mother or that mad wolf in my pack who killed himself after losing his mate. She sighed. I know you prefer not to find your mate, but you can't fight fate. If something has to happen, it will happen. Okay. Yeah, whatever. I rolled my eyes. So, how are things back home? I asked while collapsing on the sofa. Your brother is being an asterisk, as usual. He has increased the training routine for all the young wolves. So, they are all crabby these days. Sounds like Rick, I chuckled. My brother had to take over the pack at 17, after my father's death. Rick is 8 years older than me. He was lucky to find his mate Linda at 21. She is the sweetest person ever and helped him find balance and peace in his life. I finished my conversation with Emma and took off my clothes to prepare for the night. I shifted into my brown wolf, Lana. I cannot go out in the city for a run, but my wolf understands. I let her run around and have fun at Aunt Flora's estate. Curling onto my bed, I slept off in my wolf form. Mark! I cried out as I ran towards him. He was finally back from Germany, and I could not wait to get into his arms. He had told me not to receive him at the airport, but I could not help it. His blue eyes sparkled as he engulfed me in his muscular arms. At 61, he towered over my 54, slim body. I missed you, I gushed as he kissed me on the cheeks. Me too. So, how was your trip? I asked as he picked up his bag, and we made it out of the airport. Boring and hectic. I wish Dad stopped sending me on these trips. He grumbled. Mark is the heir to one of the biggest architecture firms. Hence, he was groomed to inherit it by his lord of something, father. He comes from an old family of barons. With his blue eyes, dark hair, and well-toned body, he is one of the most eligible bachelors in London. I do not know why he fell for me. When I asked him, he said he liked my gentleness and delicate features, which were quite ironic. I could rip him apart in minutes if I wanted to. Of course, he does not know that, and I have no plans to reveal it to him yet. Did you drive? He asked. I nodded mischievously. That is another of our private jokes. I am an extremely fast driver. Thanks to my wolf's instincts, I am used to driving rashly. I make no mistakes, but it freaks out most of my human friends, including Mark. So, I am forced to drive slowly just to keep them comfortable. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I grinned at him. He shook his head and loaded his bag into the car boot. So, what are you doing this Saturday? He asked as he settled down on the passenger side. Nothing as of now, I replied as we drove out of the driveway. Cool. I am taking you somewhere. He spoke. Where? It's a surprise, he said, giving me his boyish grin. I laughed along. On Saturday morning, as planned, Mark picked me up from my flat. It was a sunny day, one of the last ones before winter. We drove to this park with no other people in sight. At that moment, it felt like we were the only people there. I could see crystal clear waters beyond the horizon. The trees swayed in the cool ocean breeze. Mark held my hand, and we turned towards the right, where we walked through an archway of roses. Upon crossing the archway, I came upon the most beautiful sight I had ever seen. A white gazebo. It was surrounded by my favorite flowers. I smiled at it because this scene was so beautiful. "What is all this, Mark?" I asked. "Come on," he said, taking my hand, and we walked inside the gazebo. "Do you like it?" he asked. "Who wouldn't? But why?" I asked, puzzled. "Oh! Look over there!" He suddenly blurted it out. I turned but saw nothing. "I don't see anything." "Then turn around, and you will see something shining." Confused, I turned back to Mark. He was now on one knee and holding the most gorgeous ring I had ever seen. I was shocked is an understatement. My wolf shook her head in disapproval. Mark was just a distraction and a bed warmer for her. She only wanted her mate. Ignoring my wolf, I covered my mouth in surprise. He took my shaking hand and looked deep into my hazel eyes, which were filled with confusion rather than joyful tears. "Alice, from the first moment I saw you, I thought you were the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." I thought to myself. I must get to know her more. I am so glad I did. You complete me in so many ways. You inspire me more than you ever know. I love you so much. I am incomplete without you. You are my queen. And so, here I am on one knee, asking for my girl's hand in marriage. Honey, will you do me the honor and be my wife? Let me be your husband. I thought. I loved Mark, but there was so much to tell him. He did not know who or what I was. "Mark. This is so sudden." I stammered, looking for the words. His face fell, and I could not continue. "You don't love me." "I do. I love you, Mark, but there is so much you don't know about me." I was suddenly tongue-tied. "Don't you think we should wait for some more time?" I was panicking now. "I want you just the way you are, Alice. We can spend our whole lives getting to know each other." Mark stood up, and from the way he looked at me, I felt my heart melt. He looked miserable. His words touched my heart in more ways than one. I was not looking for a mate anyway, and Mark was simply perfect. "Yes, I will marry you, Mark," I said. Mark smiled with joy. He slipped the sparkling ring onto my finger. He then cupped my face and kissed me so passionately that I forgot my worries at that moment. I wrapped my arms around his masculine body. He pulled me down on the blanket, and we made out underneath the gazebo for a long time. "You got engaged?" Emma shouted loud enough to force me to mute the laptop. "Does he know what you are?" she asked. I was about to tell him but I bit my lips nervously. I was so screwed. "Alice, you know there is a wolf or someone out there who is your mate." There she goes again, I thought. "Emma, I am 24 years old. If I had a mate, I would have found him by now. I love Mark. He is the person I want to be with. I prefer not to be forced into loving someone just because fate decided it. Besides, I hate those possessive alphas. I don't think I can live like that. I was not forced into loving Bobby, I love him with all my heart," Emma grumbled. "I am sure you do. I am not talking about you, Emma. I know what I want. I think I will be happy with Mark. I said it stubbornly. What if you come across your mate? Emma was still persistent. Then I will reject him. It's not that simple, Alice. Your wolf will force you to accept him. You do not know what with your mate feels like, she grinned. I smirked. How do you know? You have only slept with Bobby since you turned 18. I was not too experienced myself. Apart from Mark, I had just one boyfriend in high school. I found out he was cheating on me just the next day after we did it for the first time. He would never cheat on anyone again. I made sure of that. Being a werewolf has its perks. I know how mate bond works, you don't. Emma snapped back at me. I rolled my eyes. Fine, you win, but can we end this conversation now? I knew better than to argue with a mated wolf. They were fanatically protective of their mates. I prayed I would never find my mate. Aunt Flora is what one would refer to as eccentric. Most keepers are eccentric. It is difficult being different. The ability to see and deal with the supernatural comes with some drawbacks. One of them being loneliness. Aunt Flora has a phantom lover, that is what she claims. I have never seen him, though. Werewolves do not have the power to see ghosts, but she is very sweet, so I humored her. Currently, she was shaking her head when I told her about Mark's proposal. Your mate won't like it, she replied, shaking her head. Aunt Flora was 50, though she looked around 35. She was pretty with her short red hair and elegant dressing sense. She reminded me of Jack Kennedy. Though I think an aunt is prettier. But, aunt, I don't want a mate, I tried to reason. Nonsense, all wolves want their mate. It is known. Poor Mark, he will be so broken-hearted, she said with a gloomy face. Why would Mark be heartbroken? I asked, surprised. He is not your mate. Once you find your mate, you will no longer be with Mark. She said matter-of-factly. I rolled my eyes. Can I go for a run? Lana is getting snarky. I said, referring to my wolf. Yeah, go ahead, just stay away from a neighboring property. She waved her hand dismissively as she was having a conversation with her boyfriend. I wondered how she explained a wolf on her estate. Probably, she claimed to own a giant dog. I stripped off my clothes and shifted into a brown wolf as I ran into the frosty night. The first snow of the year was falling, and the field was covered with a dusting of white powder. I did not feel cold, though. My thick fur protected me from the English winter. The flight announced its landing, and I squirmed sleepily in my seat. I was finally home. One good thing about Florida is that it enjoys the mildest winters in the United States. The days are typically sunny and warm, while the nights are a little cooler. I collected my luggage and, as expected, my entire family was there to greet me. Alice. Emma ran towards me as Martha, Thomas, and Linda followed. After a round of hugs and kisses, I was bundled into one of the several waiting cars, and we started for home. Look at you, all grown up and glowing. Show me your ring, Linda asked. I blushed and displayed my ring. The ladies oohed and awed as expected. That's a lovely ring, my dear, Martha beamed. Look at that giant rock, Emma commented, looking forward to the wedding now. She winked. I shuddered. I was still reeling from the shock of being engaged. A wedding would have driven me off the edge. My wolf was extremely impatient to find her mate. We haven't decided on the date yet, I said. We are taking it slow. I breathed deeply, trying to brace myself for further prying questions. Well, we are eager to meet this Mark of yours. Do invite him to Florida. Our beach weddings are wonderful. Martha quipped. I could not imagine Mark among the pack of wolves. Trying to change the subject, I inquired about Linda's twins, my lovely niece and nephew. How are the kids, Linda? I hope they haven't forgotten me, I said. We conversed until we reached the gates of the Jade Moon Pack. In the modern age, pack life has changed significantly over the years. Most modern packs do not live in one house anymore and have turned the land over to individual families. This also made things legally safer since it was less questionable for multiple families to own a couple of 100 acres versus one individual to own thousands of acres. All the lands were still considered pack. Since all the families were pack, they were just more discreet. Jade Moon Pack had a similar arrangement. A row of houses surrounded by lush green forest and a private beach. We still had a safe house, a combined kitchen for the unmated or people who wanted to eat together. Gyms, schools, etc. Everything necessary for a small township was on the campus. Many pack families had outside interests and jobs as well. Even though living separately, the pack was a tight-knit community. Everyone relied on their pack mates for companionship. Some packs were very conservative. They did not allow anyone to leave and kept their females locked in. Attacking packs for capturing their females was common in earlier times, especially by rogues. But times have changed. Most female wolves were the textbook definition of bare feet and pregnant. They stopped school as soon as they found their mates at around 18. And all they did was pop out pups. Yet another reason I did not want a mate. However, the Jade Moon was different. Moon's father always encouraged education, and most youngsters went to college. Having grown up together, most wolves were loyal friends instead of just pack mates. There were still mandatory pack meetings, held on the full moon of every month, which were attended by everyone. It was a well-knit, safe community, except because I was sent away at 9. I did not know why I could not stay after my brother took over the pack. I had come around to accepting this arrangement, and I was not interested in returning, anyway. I am what they call an urban werewolf. I was greeted by Clara and Jonathan, my 5-year-old niece and nephew, as soon as I reached Alpha's mansion. My brother owns the biggest house in the pack, which sometimes doubles up as a safe house and accommodates visiting guests from other packs. Beta Thomas's house is right next to it. Hey, sweethearts, how are you? I laughed, hugging my niece and nephew. Rick, my brother, followed, smiling. Good to see you, Alice. You look good, Rick, I said, hugging him back. I settled down in my old room overlooking the pool. It had changed a little. My room was still the same. Perhaps, if I had stayed back, I would have enjoyed living here. I still do. It is just that memories of my dead father, and my mom going mad with grief, haunt me. I cannot recall anything about my father's death, although it happened right in front of my eyes. Psychiatrists call this repressed memory. Sometimes, traumatic events may be stored in the unconscious mind and blocked from normal conscious recall. I am not sure if werewolves can repress memories. At least I was. Emma was taking me to a beach house party on Saturday, a few days after my arrival. A party meant shopping. According to her, I had brought no bathing suits with me, so it made sense. We drove to a mall in the city and started browsing through various shops. I hope this won't be another meeting at the Alpha's party, I asked. I had no interest in going to such looking for your mate parties. I was engaged to Mark. There might be a few alphas, but it's just a normal house party. You don't have to look for anyone if you don't want. Unless, there is no unless, I cut her off. She shrugged and went back to her shopping. Suddenly, a chill ran down my spine. We were not alone. I sniffed the air, trying to get the scent of someone, anyone, but it was too mixed up. The mall was crowded, and it was hard to pinpoint one person. Dismissing the thought, I paid my bills and left the mall. The summer house was a typical detached house along the shoreline. It was being hosted by Emma's friend Lucy. She belonged to the Reds pack. They were distinguished by their red hair, hence the name. Her pack was well off, and they had several homes. When Emma and I reached the place, along with Bobby, the party had already started. There was a large living room in the middle of the house, and in each wing, there was a long hallway leading to many bedrooms. Now that the place was packed, people were cramped together. A few hours later, the party was well underway. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves, and I could hear many people talking and laughing in between the music. At the other end of the living room, some people had even started dancing. They had to move several large sofas to create them. They had to move several large sofas to create the space, but it seemed to be phenomenally successful, allowing the people that attended dancing classes to show off their technique. I was not one of them, so I simply looked at the couples dancing. A few guys had shown interest in me. I had a friendly conversation with them and subtly told them I was engaged. "Alice, come and dance with us," Emma shouted and waved at me to join her. I just shook my head and lifted my glass to show I was happy where I was. My wolf had suddenly woken up from her slumber and she was agitated. "Calm down, dear," I soothed myself. I was walking by the pool, glancing at a group of boys and men throwing a ball back and forth. Something bumped into me, knocking me off balance, and causing me to fall into the pool along with what seemed like a wall of hard mussels. He smelled divine, a mix of musk and grass and mint. I was grabbed and tucked into a broad chest, an arm wrapped around my waist and one arm around my head. Pressed deep into his chest, only one thought rang in my mind. Mate. Alice. As we spluttered to the surface, those arms were still encircling me. It was then I looked into the most gorgeous pair of green eyes I had ever seen. Time stopped, my lungs had stopped breathing. Everything had stopped existing. I could not see or feel anything else besides this beautiful man standing in front of me. Not beautiful, that word would be too feminine. He was the embodiment of masculinity. His wet and messy brown hair fell over his forehead. He was taller than me by a foot and almost 3 times my width. He had a warrior's body, cut from years of training. He was shirtless and wet, which was driving my wolf crazy. He had the face that stopped you in your tracks. It was strong and defined, with a perfect jawline. Mine! 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 My wolf screamed. And I was suddenly wet, not because of falling in the pool. I was wet down below. Those green eyes were glued to me, and I knew he felt the same. He knew I was his mate. No, this can't be happening, I thought. The day had just gone worse. I blurted out. His perfect lips, ripe for the kissing, curled into a smile. Sure dear, I can't wait. Mate. I am sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. I squeaked. He raised an eyebrow. What did you intend to do? His grin turned into a sly smile. Run, I had to run, do something. Anything. I jerked back, slipping out of his hold. Without looking back, I climbed out of the pool in the most ungraceful way ever, but I did not care. I had to leave. My wolf was angry, but I had to run. I heard him calling behind me. I ignored it and just ran towards the living room. My white summer dress was dripping wet. Dismissing all the questioning glances, I grabbed Emma and panted. We need to leave now. What happened? Why are you all wet? She asked, bewildered. I need to go, please, I pleaded. There was a commotion near the poolside. I knew he was coming after me. Coming to claim me. I dragged Emma outside and ran towards our car. Alice! Bobby is still inside. She yelled. You can come back for him later, just get me away from here. She started the engine as I covered my face with my hands, catching my breath. No, no, no! I chanted. We were on the highway when Emma received a call from Bobby and explained to him how I had run away as if I had seen a ghost. Care to explain what happened? She was annoyed, and my wet dress, soaking up her car seat, was not helping. I bumped into someone, I breathed hard, trying to keep down my wolf, who was ready to tear out of my body. So? Was it that bad that you had to run away? He is my mate, I whispered. What? Emma blurted and nearly dashed the car into a tree. Emma! Look ahead, I screamed as we narrowly missed a tree. Emma stopped the car at the side. We must go back to the party, Emma said no. I almost yelled. Who was he? She asked cautiously. I don't know, and I don't even want to know, I whispered absent-mindedly. My wolf was angry with me. How can you leave our mate? She cribbed. Look, let us just pretend this never happened. Do not tell anyone. I can control my wolf. My mate. I mean, that man does not know who I am, he cannot find me. I am leaving in a few weeks, anyway. So, everything will be forgotten by him. Emma snorted, that's not how it works, princess. Now that he knows you exist, he will search heaven and earth to reach you. He would not leave you alone until you submit. Great. So now I have a stalker. I said sarcastically. It's also possible that he doesn't want a mate, either. Then he would leave me alone, right? I asked, Hopefully. Highly unlikely. Not all werewolves are a weirdo like you, Emma replied. I am not a weirdo, I am a smart, rational person capable of making my own decisions. I do not rely on fate or God. I said as somberly as my disheveled state allowed. I am going to change clothes in the back seat. Do not talk about this incident to anyone, okay? I said with finality. Emma shook her head. Yeah, whatever. Lucian, I could smell her near the poolside. My wolf was restless. I glanced at the crowd of people frolicking, but it was difficult to pinpoint among the crowd. I rushed towards her. Her scent was like nothing I had ever smelled before, it was light, fresh, and wonderful. If I could only smell one thing in the entire world, forever, it would be her scent. I could live off her scent alone. As intoxicating as her scent was, it could not even compare to how it felt when her skin first touched mine. It was euphoric. My body was on fire as desire and a desperate need to be closer to her body consumed me. My world had stopped spinning around the dull sun and now rotated around this celestial being. It happened all so suddenly. I did not mean to bump into her, but as we fell into the pool, I automatically snaked my hand up her back and wound my fingers through her hair at the base of her head. My lips rested against her neck for barely a second, and that was enough to know she was mine. Her soft body molded perfectly into mine, confirming she was made for me. The only thing that could make this moment more enjoyable was for her to reciprocate these powerful emotions. I could barely control myself as her hazel eyes stared into mine. Mine! My wolf roared. Yes, mine, this beautiful creature was mine, I thought. It took a split second to go from the euphoric bliss of her touch to the harsh reality of why she was not returning my desire. She looked at me horrified, then she was running away. Scrambling out of the pool. Stop her, my wolf said. Did I scare her? I wondered. Hey, wait, I said. That seemed to make her run even faster. What did you do to her, Lucian? Garrett, my old friend, joked. Nothing yet, I grinned at him. You have scared her off, Garrett replied, laughing. My beta daemon was now standing by my side as soon as I got out of the pool. He looked baffled. Are you okay, boss? Yeah, I replied as I followed my lovely mate. I was uncertain why she was running away. After looking for my mate for the last 10 years, I had given up hope when Luna felt benevolent toward me. What happened, boss? You look a little lost. Damon passed me a towel. You see that girl in white running towards the porch? He nodded. She is my mate and your future Luna. What? Damon looked incredulous. But why is she leaving? No clue, maybe she wants to be chased the old-fashioned way. Find out everything about her. I commanded and turned back into the house. How can you let her go? You know you want her. My wolf chided me. All in good time, dear, all in good time. I soothed my wolf. I woke up slowly and fought my way to consciousness as if trying to swim up from deep, dark waters. I was 9 again, there was smoke everywhere. People were running around trying to escape the fire, there were gunshots. I closed my ears, trying to shut out the chaos. Someone grabbed my shoulders. It hurt. I looked up at the face of the man, but it was all blurry. Then I was running again. I hid under a table and shut my eyes and ears again. "Do not be scared, I will protect you," said a gentle voice. I turned and there was a boy, a few years older than me. He was hiding along with me while the smoke billowed around us. I woke up sweating from my nightmare, breathing hard. I checked my watch, it was still early. 5 am to be precise. Most of the juveniles and younger wolves would have already started their training. But I was on a vacation. I could catch a few more hours of sleep. Though I could not sleep anymore. I lay in my bed and replied to a few emails, exchanged a few messages with Mark. My thoughts automatically shifted to the green-eyed stranger. "Mate, I want my mate." My wolf was suddenly alert. I had been thinking about him a lot. I mean a lot. I had not left the pack grounds for a week, scared that he might try to get in touch with me. Kidnap me? However, nothing of that sort had occurred. I did not see him again after that day. Maybe he was not interested in a mate either. My wolf was disgruntled by this. But I was relieved. Perhaps, I might go out to that club which Emma had been pestering me to check out. In a few hours, I was in the common dining room. I could have eaten at home as well with Linda and Rick, but I liked eating with everyone else. I was talking to a few youngsters about their warrior training when Emma arrived to join me. "So, you finally decided to come out of hiding," she commented. "I have not been hiding. I was simply resting," I replied. Though she was right, I had been freaked out ever since I had bumped into that green-eyed Adonis. My wolf purred as I thought about him. I shook my head to dispel his thoughts. Emma rolled her eyes at me. "You haven't been to any of the training, either. Wolves are very physical beings. They are extraordinarily strong even as humans, so they require a lot of physical activity to remain fit, strong and dispel their energy. Our wolves also need regular outings, so running through the woods at least once a week is recommended, otherwise our wolves get antsy. Urban wolves like me do regular gymming. They shift and run on the weekends. My father ensured that all members of the pack, including females, were trained to fight. Rouge attacks and inter-pack wars have reduced in modern times, but they were common earlier, they still happened among more savage packs. A woman who could not protect herself was worse than a burden during such wars. They had to be protected. Hence, my father ensured the pack females were also trained as warriors. Mark often said, "How did I manage such heavy exercise in my delicate figure? I could snap him with my fingers if I wanted to, but I never showed him my strength. I am on a vacation. Can't I take a break?" I said, exasperated. I suddenly felt something and asked, "Emma, are you pregnant?" She nearly choked on her orange juice and looked at me incredulously. "What? No. I had my heat 6 months back, and I am not due for my heat until next week." "Why do you say so?" "I just had this feeling," I mumbled. "You are doing that again." She spoke. "Doing what?" I asked, puzzled. "Remember when we were kids, and we were playing in the treehouse, and you told Rick that he would fall from the tree and a few days later he did?" "Yes, so. It means I may get pregnant," Emma said. I rolled my eyes. "Are you saying I can curse people?" "Oh please. Being pregnant is not a curse, Bobby and I, she blushed a little, we have been thinking of starting a family now. I smiled. Emma and Bobby had been mates since they were 18, but unlike others, they believed in family planning, getting university degrees, and experiencing life before starting a family. Bobby was my brother's beta as well as a business partner, and Emma was studying medicine. She also taught little pups in primary school every so often. I was proud of her. So, you are saying I can see the future? I chuckled. Maybe, sometimes what you say happens. She was serious. Well, then I hope you get pregnant soon and have a cute little pup, I laughed, rubbing her belly, pretending to bless her. Emma laughed along, but she sure looked happy. I looked at several pairs sitting together. Most wolves find their mates after turning 18, some take longer. It is not like I never tired looking for a mate. When I was 18 and foolish, I used to attend these mating parties and balls organized by different packs. I never found my mate, and some alphas were a nuisance. They just wanted a strong alpha female for having their pups. I stopped looking for my mate by the time I was 20. So, this club which I told you about. It is a new club, but it's already picking up. One of the influencers praised it on her Instagram. Alice, are you even listening? Emma followed my eyes and gasped. What is he doing here? She muttered. Who is he? I asked, looking at the tall dark man emerging from one of the cars. He could not see us, but we could see him from the dining room. Alpha Adam Connor. Rick had a huge argument with him in the last Alpha meeting, she blurted out. Why? They have been trespassing in our lands claiming they were chasing the Rouges, but it's been repeating, so naturally, Rick was pissed. Oh. Rick works hard, sometimes I feel guilty of not being there to help him. I murmured. Maybe you can move back, here? I am sure you can easily find a job here. Emma said hopefully. I bit my lips guiltily. I had contemplated returning after finishing college, then I got an internship which was too tempting to refuse, then I met Mark. It just was not meant to be. How are things, BTW? Is Rick facing too many issues? After my father died, Rick and the previous beta managed to keep the pack together. I was too young to understand anything, and I was so traumatized that the pack doctor recommended sending me away somewhere far. Things have been peaceful since the last werewolf wars. All packs are following the peace treaty. Those who don't face sanctions from the other packs. Emma explained. That's a relief, I said. About 15 years ago, the werewolf world was rocked by infighting. Some greedy alphas and rogues had started capturing and looting other packs. They used to kidnap unmated females, especially alphas, and claim their packs. There are rarely any female alpha leaders. It is not because the leadership goes through the male lineage. It is simply because males are naturally stronger than females. If an alpha lost the challenge, then the leadership passes on to the winner. There are very few female alphas who are strong enough to beat all the males of a pack, so female alphas are rare. The last one, Catherine the Strong, ruled like 200 years ago. She was an alpha who ruled her pack after her father's death. I huffed, glad I am not living here. I have never liked politics. Emma burst into laughter, and we started planning for our club outing. I did not think about the green-eyed Adonis at all. When I decided to visit the club, which was ironically called the Lichens, I dressed for the part. Emma had said this could be my impromptu bachelorette party, and we had a good laugh about it. We drove to the city along with Emma and another Theta girl, Melanie. Bobby, being all-possessive mate, had insisted on accompanying us, but we wanted a girls' night out. We were in the human part of the town where the presence of wolves was nil, and we could handle human males easily. Once in London, I was about to be mugged while returning late. All I needed were my claws. The look of terror on that prospective mugger's face was priceless. Harming a human is banned since we live in secrecy, we are not supposed to reveal ourselves. However, we can do so in self-defense and emergencies. I had decided to be a little risque. I wore a black tank top that was meshed and a short red plaid skirt. Not too short, I preferred not to feel self-conscious or attract unwanted attention. It was short enough to keep it interesting and long enough to be modest. I felt stunning by the time I had left, along with Emma. The club was packed as usual with gyrating bodies. After 4 shots and a lot of dancing, I was taking a break. A drunk stumbled over to me near the bar. "Hey, you want to drink, gorgeous?" he slurred. I could smell the alcohol and the overpowering smell of his lust. Just another annoying human, I thought. "I am not interested," I said and turned to move away. "Darling," the man whispered huskily, "shall we go back to my place for tonight?" I wanted to throttle him right there, but we cannot harm humans. There is a law against it. I pulled away and placed hands on my hips. "Why can't you understand a simple no? I am engaged." "Relax, I was just leaving." He glanced apologetically at me and left. I shook my head, annoyed. Someone tapped me on the shoulder, and as I turned around, I heard someone whisper, "Hello? Smells like chloroform to you," and everything faded into darkness. I heard the metallic click of handcuffs being closed around my wrists and then around my ankles. Chloroform does not work on werewolves for long. It knocks them out for a few minutes, but that was enough to kidnap me. The shackles were silver-lined. I knew it instantly when I felt it irritating my skin, and I was unable to break them. I was bound and gagged. I could not move or shift. Likewise, I could not believe this was happening to me. My kidnappers were werewolves. I was getting their scent, and they were probably rogues. "Throw her phone out," a voice from the front rasped. We drove for what seemed like forever. At first, I just felt hands roughly grasping me. Their hands became rougher until I felt cool air on my belly and chest. I cursed myself. I should have been more careful. My skirt was hitched up while they fondled me. A tear escaped from my eyes. "Leave her alone," came a voice from the front of the van again. "If you leave too much scent on her, we won't get paid." I shuddered at his words. Someone wanted me kidnapped. I could not connect mentally with anyone from my pack. I was too far away. Werewolves can talk telepathically to each other if they are mates or part of the same pack, but they need to be close to each other. Fortunately, his words made all the manhandling stop. After what seemed like an eternity, the van came to a halt. I had no idea where I was. The door opened, and I was pulled out and thrown over a very hairy shoulder. My blindfold slid off, and I was looking straight into a mass of fur. It was dark, but the sound of leaves rustling in the wind confirmed I was in the woods somewhere. My captors walked along. I guessed right, they were rogues. I was thrown roughly in a cabin. My hands and feet were left bound to a pole. Shivering, I curled into a tight ball. Emma would have known that I am missing. Rick would be in despair. Female wolves are kidnapped either to breed by the rogues or by the alphas who fancy them. Was I being kidnapped by my mate? I cringed at the word mate, though my wolf was suddenly calm and eager to meet him again. I did not smell him among these rogues, so I had no idea what was going on. If this was indeed done by that green-eyed jerk, I would never forgive him. Oh yes, you will, my wolf said. Voices filled the cabin for several minutes. Then I heard the engine start up, and it sounded like the van was driving away. I listened, barely breathing, waiting for what I was sure was coming. The dull thud of boots on the floor came back to the door and stopped. I heard voices. Why not just kill her? The first voice whispered, it's what she asked us to do. Are you crazy? Came the second voice quietly, she is Alpha Rick's sister. She is an unmated alpha female. Do you know many would be eager to pay whatever we demand? So, we'll sell her. That depends on who pays the highest. Alpha of the Shark Moon Pack has been looking for a female for years, his mate is barren. I cringed at those words and cursed the day I decided to return. I tried to understand why I was here. It was not because of my mate. This came as a relief to me. I told you he is not a bad person, my wolf cooed. I rolled my eyes. Here I was stuck in a cabin, I could either be killed or raped or sold. Yet, I could not stop thinking about him. There was unexpectedly a deep sadness in me when I thought about never seeing him again. A few more hours passed, and I dozed off. I was woken by the sounds of commotion. Shadows crossed the little windows in front of the cabin. Ragged curtains prevented me from seeing who was out there. Fear had me clinging to the pole I had been tied to. Expecting the worst, I curled in a corner, closing my eyes. I braced myself for the worst. I would not give up without fighting. The door crashed open, revealing a tall figure. He crossed the room in 3 large steps and came to rest directly in front of me. He was dressed in a tight black t-shirt and black cargo pants. His black boots were caked with mud, and he looked furious. My mate, my wolf sang in happiness while I stared at him in disbelief. His hand came up to gently stroke my cheek and I felt his lips on my hair as he removed my gag. You did this to me. My voice cracked. It was more of a question than a statement. Thank God you are safe, he whispered. I looked up into his eyes. Who are you? I realized I did not even know his name. He smiled. I noticed he had dimples. My heart skipped a beat. I am sorry, we were never properly introduced. I am Lucian Blake of the Crimson Shadow Pack. What a lovely name, my wolf purred. My face was frozen, and I could not take my eyes off him. I had heard of his pack from Emma. There are 2 kinds of alphas. The good news and the bad news. Crimson Shadow was the bad news. To make matters worse, my brother hated them. I did not know the details, but my wolf had chosen the worst possible mate ever. Though he was hot enough to cause a mini riot among women if he wanted to. A moment too late, I realized I was panting and tried to breathe normally. I should be introducing myself as well, my brain said. I am Alice Anderson, from the Jade Moon Pack. Rick Anderson is my brother. I know, he replied grimly. You know me? I pretended to be surprised. Though I knew if he came to rescue me, he would have found out everything about me. Why did you kidnap me? I asked fearfully, though I knew the answer. He reached down and started to turn the handcuffs gently on my bruised wrists. Believe me, I didn't get you kidnapped. Though I admit, I did consider it. He said gravely. Was I supposed to feel good about it? Then who? I choked up a little. They were rogues. There have been few incidents of rogues kidnapping unmated females, recently. They usually target omegas. It is the first time they targeted an alpha. Don't worry, they have been taken care of. I knew what he meant. He had killed them, or whatever remained of them. Suddenly, he pulled me into a tight hug and whispered, I'm so sorry, love, you had to go through this, into my hair. Another guy strolled into the small bedroom. I felt claws on my back where Lucian was holding me, and a growl started to resonate in his chest. Calm down, boss, she is safe now. The other guy said. I tried to break away from the hug, it was all perplexing. He realized my restlessness and released me. Wait, what's going on? I was kidnapped by the roughs, and they were talking about killing me, then selling me. His face hardened. Tell me what happened. You didn't kidnap me? I asked suspiciously. I have already said no. Then what are you doing here? How did you find me? I was still suspicious. My people work at that club. One of the Omegas saw you leaving and informed me. We tracked the van to rescue you because that brother of yours is extremely irresponsible. How could he let you venture outside without protection? He looked angry. Sorry? What do you mean? I am an adult wolf, perfectly capable of looking after myself. You have no right to interfere in my life. Thanks a lot for rescuing me. But it does not give you any right to question my brother's decision. It's none of your business. I could sense him seething in anger. Perhaps, I said too much. Your safety. Your entire existence is my business, darling, because you are my mate. Will you deny that as well? He smirked. Those eyes, I cursed myself internally. I was surrounded by the smell I had been obsessed with all week. I cleared my throat and tried to look away but still could not. About that, we need to talk about it. I fumbled. I had no idea how to broach the subject of rejecting the mate bond. Coherent thought had left my head the moment he stepped into the cabin. The only thing that remained was the beautiful man sitting in front of me. He touched my face and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Of course. We'll talk, but first, we need to get out of this wretched place and see to your injuries. He glanced at my wrists. He turned to one of the men who were with him and started to quietly issue orders. One guy cut away my shackles. I rubbed my bruised wrists, which was already healing. Lucian offered me his jacket. I was not cold, but it was an improvement over my ripped top. I could see him ogling, though he tried not to. He picked me up and moved me out of the door. We headed for a series of dark-tinted SUVs that now took up the entire front yard of the cabin. "Where are you taking me?" I asked the beautiful man, who smelled like musk and grass and lilac. "Home," he replied simply. "You know where I live?" Which was a stupid question, since he knew who I was. I am sure he knew my address as well. "You are coming with me, we are mates. Mates stay together." He slid me into the back of one of the vehicles and joined me. Great! Now I was being kidnapped by my rescuers. It was daytime now. I had been missing for more than 12 hours, and my brother must be freaking out. My family would be worried about me. I lost my purse and mobile. "I cannot leave with you like this. I have a life, Mr. Blake." I was trying to reason and keep calm, though I knew he would not listen. He smiled in response and snaked his arm around me, pulling me close to his body almost in his lap. A low growl emanated from his chest. "You are mine now, including your life," he stated with finality, "and please call me Lucian." I just stared right into those gorgeous eyes. "You cannot take my life decisions. I do not belong to you. I will do whatever I feel fits. I do not know why I am here with you, I barely know you, and this is the first we are having an actual conversation. I will not stand you bossing me around. You don't even know me." I could not finish the sentence. My mouth was suddenly crushed under his. Those warm lips moved against mine, his tongue slid against my lips, cajoling me to open. I would have kept my mouth closed, but his hand was suddenly moving and I was too helpless to stop him. I wanted to fight him. I did everything possible to resist, but everywhere he touched me it felt like I was on fire. Instead, I arched my back and grabbed his shoulders to hold him close. I moaned into his mouth. This seemed to encourage him. I could not believe I was responding to him. It took every ounce of decorum and self-control to not do so. He growled in appreciation. My wolf responded. I moved my tongue inside his mouth. He tasted like coffee. I felt his tongue pushing against mine to dominate the kiss. I let him explore me freely. He broke the kiss to whisper against my mouth, "Gosh! You are perfect." I pulled away and shouted at him, "What is wrong with you? Stop it!" I felt angry and overly excited. No man had ever made me feel like this. He made me frantic and needy all at the same time. His grin was slightly evil as he inclined his head to the side. "You don't seem to mind it." My hands were on his shoulders, which made it easier to hit him. "Leave me, this is wrong," I said breathlessly. It did not affect him, though. "Stop this immediately," my protest came out breathless, more like a request. His lips were traveling down my neck, leaving a wet path as he kissed and sucked at the skin. My hips were moving between his large hands and totally under their control. Lost in the sensations, I ground my pelvis into his finger. I intertwined my hands through the hair at his nape, loving the feel of the strong muscles beneath. He bent forward and took my lips in his mouth. Again, I lost it. Convulsing with his fingers just slipping into my body, it was a mind-blowing. I rested my head on his shoulders as my spasms subsided. He was gently stroking my hair and saying soothing words. I was too far gone to make sense of anything, but I had to plan my escape. I felt like a stupid. I had just cheated on Mark. I am horrible, I thought. No, you are not. You kissed your mate as you should. My wolf was pleased. My wolf is a pervert, I cursed myself. I finally slid off Lucian's lap and pulled down my skirt, folding my arms. I was looking out of the window. He kept his hand firmly around me. The area looked familiar. It was the state highway a few miles off the Pack lands. Still, I was unable to form any connection with Rick and I had lost my mobile. Perhaps, I could plan an escape if I were careful. I turned towards him and spoke. Lucian, I need to use the restroom. Can you stop at some service station, please? I made my most desperate puppy face. My wolf was resisting. She was trying to overpower me so that I would stay. He gave me a piercing look with those divine eyes. I noticed he had lovely lashes. Please kiss him, my wolf pleaded. I ignored it. Sure, we'll stop at the next gas station. I will escort you to the restroom. You will finish whatever you want to do, in 5 minutes. If you do not come out in time, I will break the door and enter. His eyes flashed with a warning. I stared at him incredulously. Have you ever heard of a thing called privacy? I am not going to follow this stupid condition. I screamed at him. Do you want to use the restroom? Yes or no? He titled his head and smirked. Yes, but not with such conditions, I snapped back. Then we are not stopping, he smirked. He was pure evil. All right. I folded my arms and went back to staring out of the window. I needed to affirm what area I was in when I called Rick. We pulled into a Shell station soon, and the service attendant came to our window. His men dealt with him while Lucian pulled me out of the SUV. He held me by my waist, which might have looked cozy to others, but I was held tightly in his vice-like grip. Don't try any tricks, sweetie, he whispered in my ears, then buried his nose in my hair and inhaled. It was not a romantic gesture, he was taking my scent. We found the ladies' restroom. This is a ladies' restroom, that is all I could say before he started pushing inside along with me. I immediately placed my hand on his chest and stopped him from entering. No, you are not following me in. This is downright indecent. He narrowed his eyes. Do I look stupid? I know you will make a run for it, the moment I look away. I rolled my eyes. Well, if I do, you can simply catch me. Again. How far can I run when you have taken my scent? I am miles away from my home, I said wryly. His eyes searched my face for any trace of a lie. Look, I have been through a lot in the last few hours, now at least let me pee in peace. As my so-called loving mate, you owe me at least some decency. I snapped at him. Most of what I said was true. I could barely focus on anything with him breathing down my neck. His face softened, which worsened it. How could I escape if he was looking at me like that? This was probably the last time I would be seeing him. My heart felt like it was breaking into 1,000 pieces. What was wrong with me? My wolf was fighting with all her might to stay. All right, I will wait here, no funny tricks, else you will be punished. he warned me. I rolled my eyes. Yeah, whatever. I closed the restroom door and sighed with relief. I gave a quick check of myself in the mirror. Thanks to our super-fast healing powers, my cuts and bruises had almost disappeared, and I would not look like I had walked off a train wreck. I thanked myself for choosing to wear a not too short skirt. Though oversized, Lucian's jacket hid my tattered blouse. I took off the jacket and washed away the dried blood from my face and hands. I looked presentable enough to be on the road. Then I took out the secret vial of perfume I always hid in my bra. All werewolves have a scent. To go around undetected by other werewolves and beings, I needed to ask myself quite frequently in Europe, as it is dominated by vampires. They live isolated though and only come out at night, so I did not encounter them much, but as a safety precaution, I always carried this special connotation brewed by Aunt Flora. She is good with herbs. I had to make sure that Lucian stayed on my scent, then I sprayed myself with the contents of the vial. Rest was easy. My transformed claws were enough to break open the window. I jumped out of the window and dashed towards the thick cover of trees beside the state highway. I could not shift as my wolf was on the edge and ready to overpower me if I shifted. She would run back to Lucian if I lost control. So, I ran as a human. Wolves are fast even as a human, but shifting into a wolf would have been better. Running through the foliage and shrubs, my eyes streamed with tears. I could not help them from flowing. Finally, after a few minutes of running and making sure that I was not being followed, I reached a suburb. Keeping myself hidden from the road, I saw a bus stand. Bus stands usually have people around, either waiting or getting off the vehicles. Lucian would not capture me in front of humans. Gingerly, I stepped out and sat down on the bench, sobbing. I missed Lucian. It's the pull of the mate bond. I don't love him, I barely know him, my logical mind consoled me while my wolf was angry. Mate, I want my mate. Take me to him, she growled. I took a deep breath and placed my hand on my chest, which was hurting like hell. Hey, dear, you need any help? I jumped as a sudden voice startled me. I turned around to see a kind-looking, middle-aged lady smiling at me. Can I use your phone please? I was mugged and I lost my purse. Furthermore, I have to call my brother. I blurted out. Oh! How terrible! Perhaps, tea or coffee would make you feel better. I stay nearby, why don't you come along with me? She said pleasantly. I was in no position to trust anyone. She did not smell like a wolf, though. I am fine, really, thanks for your generosity. But just the phone will do. I replied. But you look so beat up, dear, have you eaten anything? My stomach rumbled, apart from eating my mate's lips and face, I had not had anything since the previous night. I am perfectly fine, I just need to make a call, I answered politely. I felt a click in my head and Rick's voice rang in my head. Alice! Where are you? I sighed with relief, he had been looking for me, and he was nearby. On second thought, I don't need your phone. Your assistance is greatly appreciated. I smiled at the lady. She looked puzzled. You sure don't need any help? Yes, my brother is on the way. I just felt it, I replied with my most pleasant smile. She looked at me strangely, as if I had sprouted two heads. Okay, as you wish, she walked away. I had already communicated my location to Rick, and he was in the vicinity. A row of black SUVs appeared on the far ends of the road. As they approached nearer, I panicked. It was too late to run. I looked at the approaching monsters as the first one stopped right in front of me. The doors opened, and I was engulfed in Rick's familiar scent. Alice! Thank God you are safe! Rick said from above my head. I was pressed to his chest in a relieving hug. I was quickly huddled into the SUV, sitting alongside Rick. Now, tell me what happened. Rick asked, softly. I did not even know where to start. I told him everything, how I was drugged and kidnapped by the rogues and being rescued by Lucian Blake. Rick's face hardened. He was furious, I could tell. Rick, my only brother, was 8 years older than me. When my father died in that interwar fight, he was just 17. He used to be away for several training, high school, and other things while I was growing up. I spent most of my time with Emma and Bobby, who were near to my age. After taking over the pack, he had worked relentlessly. Due to our age gap and my being sent away, we did not get the opportunity to spend much time together. We were not particularly close. But he deeply cared for me. He had always supported all my decisions, whether it was about staying in London or getting engaged to Matthew. He never objected to anything. I sniffed. I could not tell him that his hated enemy was my mate. I was rescued by Lucian Blake, I said quietly. What? Beta Thomas and Bobby, who were sitting in front, also jumped in surprise when I uttered that name. My wolf was mourning, and tears streamed from my eyes involuntarily. I had no idea how to stop them. I don't know how he found me, but he wasn't cruel Rick. If he hadn't arrived, those rogues would have. I broke down. Alice, my dear sister, I am so sorry you had to go through this. Rick sounded miserable. Thomas, who was older and wiser, wanted to question me further, but Rick stopped him. She is extremely distressed and weak. We'll question her later. Let her rest, Rick commanded, and frankly, I was grateful to him. I wanted to avoid talking about it. I wanted to avoid worrying him about the conversation between the rogues. Someone wanted me dead. I wondered who and why. My entire life had turned into this huge mess because of that green-eyed Adonis. I woke up, as I felt being lifted from the car. I realized we had reached home, and Rick was taking me inside. I could hear Linda and several others talking around me, but I pretended to sleep. I did not have the energy to narrate my ordeal. I moved into the shower immediately after reaching my room. I tried to wash away Lucian's touch, his smell, if possible, his memories. I sobbed for no reason. I had been crying non-stop ever since I had escaped. Fervently, I hoped I would not have to explain anything to anyone too soon. After my shower, I changed into fresh sweatpants and a tee. Someone had left a tray with different kinds of sandwiches. My stomach growled, and I suddenly realized I was famished. It was wonderful to have a full stomach after numerous hours. I curled up on the bed and wiped away one stubborn tear. Fed up with crying, exhaustion finally caught up, and I slept. When I woke many hours later, the sun was coming in through the windows and I was feeling better. I wondered what Lucian would be doing. He must be worried about me. I shook my head to dispel his thoughts and took out my laptop. There was an email from Mark saying he was unable to reach me and was worried about me. I replied to him that I had lost my phone, I would call him once I get a new phone. Thankfully, he was not clingy and did not expect me to call every day. I was replying to some official emails when I heard the knock. A tearful-looking Emma walked in. "I am so sorry, Alice." She sat down on the bed and looked at me dolefully. "Sorry for what?" I asked while shutting down my laptop. "For not protecting you, for not paying attention to you in the club. You had to suffer so much because of me." Emma looked distressed. I felt a pang of guilt, for troubling my friends, and family. Also keeping them in the dark about Lucian. I shifted further and hugged Emma, my eyes watered as usual. "It's okay, Emma, it wasn't your fault. I was careless. I should have been cautious." After a while, I broke the hug and Emma said, "Rick has initiated Level A security for the pack grounds," Emma said. Level A was the top-level security for a pack. The entire border is sealed. There are checkpoints for those who need to go outside like school or work. Otherwise, no one can leave or enter the grounds. Trespassers are shot. Warriors and guards would be prowling around everywhere, along with the surveillance cameras scanning all common areas. No wonder Lucian didn't come for me, I thought, then cursed myself for getting such thoughts. But with every minute, the bond was getting stronger. Emma gently held my hand and asked cautiously, "There will be formal questioning later, but you can share anything with me if you wish." Rick could not bring himself to ask. "Were you raped?" I shook my head in a no, and Emma relaxed a little. "We had hoped you weren't. Are you hurt, though?" "Just some minor cuts and bruises, they have healed already. I was saved by Lucian Blake." "About that, well, Rick is pretty mad about it. If Lucian has got you kidnapped, he didn't kidnap me," I cut her off. "He rescued me from the rogue's end, and he wanted to take me away with him, against my wish, of course. But I managed to escape, and the rest is history," I explained. Emma blinked. "He was taking you along, against your wish. Sounds like kidnapping to me." "Well, it is against the rules, and Rick is not happy about it. He is planning to take this up with the war councils. It means war." I sighed. I could not keep it a secret anymore. I did not want another war. He wasn't entirely wrong, it's not that simple. I fumbled. "I don't understand," Emma said, puzzled. I braced myself and said, "Remember that man I bumped into at the party? Who had me all worked up? He was Lucian Blake, and he is my mate." "What?" The look of horror and surprise on Emma's face indicated that everything had got messed up beyond control. Emma stared at me with a blank expression. "Wow!" She suddenly stood up and started pacing, then sat down again. "Wow! This is so, I asked helpfully. "No, romantic. This is so romantic," she said with a bemused expression. "What?" I was sure she was going crazy. "Well, you both are from enemy camps, who fall in love. Now you need to overcome the differences to be together. It's like Romeo and Juliet. Emma said with a goofy smile. You and Lucian are like Romeo and Juliet of werewolves, it's all so Shakespearean. She said wistfully. Are you suggesting we both die in the end? I asked. Emma was always kind of goofy, but this was madness even by her standards. I could barely hold my laugh. Of course not. What I mean is, this is fated. The goddess has matched you. It must mean something. I rolled my eyes. Well, what do I do now? I have a fiancé in London, who is sweet, caring, and smart. Likewise, I had everything planned, but suddenly, I bumped into my crazy, narcissistic mate who would not leave me alone. Who also happens to be my brother's rival. Forget Shakespeare, my life is a Greek tragedy. I lamented. What do you want to do, Alice? She raised an eyebrow. I want to reject him, I said as my wolf fought with me. Lana, my wolf, had been mourning ever since I left Lucian. My chest hurt constantly. Emma scoffed. It's not that easy, Alice. Why? Mates do reject each other occasionally. Seems easy enough to me. I replied. You think you will simply say the magic words and the bond will break? It is not that simple. Our wolves are forceful, the alpha wolves are stronger. Even if you break the bond, it will not work unless the rejection is mutual, and you get marked by some other wolf. Your wolf will fight against it. In your case, your fiancé is a human, so you will never be marked by any other wolf. You might run away from him, but you will always pine for him and find ways to get back. That grief will just drive you mad. I shuddered. No wonder my mom killed herself, she was driven mad with grief. But my mother was marked, Lucian had not marked me yet. But I am not marked by Lucian, yet I mumbled. He won't wait for long, he will mark you soon enough. She said matter-of-factly. He won't be able to mark me, if I return to London. I had a eureka moment. Yes, this would be best. Rick would understand why I cut short my visit. Emma laughed. We are talking about Lucian Blake, you know who is he? He is the richest, most powerful, and most ruthless alpha currently. When I say rich, I am talking about owning private jets, helicopters, and a mini personal army of warriors. He is a billionaire. I gaped at Emma. Different packs had different lifestyles. All of them did some work, or businesses, to sustain themselves. The money was used for maintaining their pack territories and wolves living in them. Some packs were well-to-do, like mine, because my father established several businesses and allowed different pack members to pursue their interests in education and career. We had doctors, lawyers, police officers, engineers, all sorts of professionals in the Jade Moon pack. Lucian plays in the stock market, he is like the Wolf of Wall Street in a literal sense. Along with other businesses, and investments. I'm not too savvy with economics, but he is loaded. Forget London, he would chase you to the end of the earth. Running away won't work. Emma explained, then folded her hands, staring at me. I was chewing my lips, I grumbled. Emma grinned, not yet, Lucian is also the most eligible bachelor alpha. Many women would cut off their right arm to be his mate. You are lucky. What is your wolf saying? My wolf is a pervert, all she wants is to get laid, preferably under Lucian, I said sarcastically. Emma giggled. Well, been with someone else will be difficult, now that she has found her mate. It wasn't easy earlier, too, I mumbled. My wolf never approved of Mark. She was pushed down by me forcefully, now she was slowly overpowering me. My head had started to throb, and I had no idea how to get out of this mess. Lucian would come for me eventually, it was just a matter of time. Maybe I could talk to him and make him understand the futility of this bond. What kind of person is Lucian? I asked Emma. What do you want to know? Everything, I said. I don't know, but he has a reputation of being ruthless. He killed his father's beta who was managing the pack on his behalf as soon as he turned 18. My eyes grew wide in surprise. Wait, what? His father's beta was managing the pack? Why? His father died in the war 15 years ago. He was just 13 years old then. His father also died the same way. I mumbled softly. I felt tears fighting to fall off my eyes again. This was something new. Knowing that he had also lost his father in the same way, softened my resolve a tiny bit. Emma nodded, except that he was on the opposite side. So, Rick hates him, I thought. You can't hate him for the mistakes of his father, he has been very kind to us. My wolf said. She had already forgiven him. So, there is no way to break the bond? I asked. There are ways, if the rejection is mutual, and he accepts it, then the bond would break eventually, or if Mark is turned by you, and he marks you, then you would get bonded to him. Are you going to turn him? Emma asked. I bit my lips nervously. He doesn't know, I replied, looking sheepish. Oh, dear. And you agreed to marry him? Emma looked incredulous. How is that supposed to work? She asked. I will tell him. Eventually. I just don't know when, I mumbled. I was uncertain if he would even agree to turn. Heck. I was uncertain if I wanted to marry him. Emma stood up and started pacing again. She always did that when she was tense. Alice. Alice, do you even love him? Of course. I do, just that my wolf wants Lucian and I want Mark. It's like being torn apart in two different directions. Well, you can have them both and have a threesome, Emma grinned. Any better suggestion, which doesn't result in my head getting chewed off? I said sarcastically. Emma stopped pacing and sat down. I don't have any more suggestions, I agree, you are trapped. I sighed. We were quiet for some time, then I asked. When does Rick want to question me? I think I am ready. I sighed, I wanted to get over it as soon as possible. We were interrupted by the shrill beeping of the danger signal. The high-pitched noise could not be heard by humans, but for our wolf senses, it was as shrill as a war siren. We've been attacked. Emma looked panicked. Lucian, it's Lucian, I said. We dashed out of my room, into the living room, and the foyer. The entire house was in chaos. Rick, Bobby, and all warriors were out with their guns. Linda was rushing off to the safe room with the twins. A few other vulnerable people were being sent to the safe room, which was in the basement. Alice! Go to the safe room now! Rick said grimly as soon as he spotted me. He was carrying an automatic gun as well. Rick, I have to stay, I am the only one who can stop Lucian, I said breathlessly. What do you mean? Rick looked puzzled. It's Lucian, isn't it? He has attacked. Yes, he has broken through the checkpoints, and they would be arriving here soon. I am not going to let him take you away, just go to the safe house. Rick. No, listen, I have to stay with you, I can convince him. I could not complete my sentence. I could sense him. From the window, I saw a series of SUVs arrive in front of the house. Several gunmen dressed in black stepped out of them, including Lucian Blake. He was also dressed in black and, unlike others, he was not carrying anything. My wolf jumped with happiness while my heart fluttered. He looked dashing as always. Rick gritted his teeth and pushed me behind a wall of guards. Emma held my hand. I waited with bated breath as Rick received Lucian's call. I do not know what they conversed, but Rick ordered one of the guards to open the door. Is that how you people welcome guests? Lucian said as he walked in flanked by 4 gunmen. Intruders are not guests, Lucian, you were warned at the checkpoint, yet you disobeyed. Well, you were not ready to hand over what is mine, so I had no choice, Lucian said, then his eyes met mine. His face broke into a smile showing off his dimples, and he winked. My wolf nearly jumped out of my skin. Mate! Mate, she howled in me. Stay away from my sister, Rick said angrily, pointing out his gun at Lucian. Lucian sighed. You know nothing, do you? I could barely breathe. Alice is my mate, as per the sacred laws I am entitled to claim my mate. She is mine. Lucian smirked. I closed my eyes, I could hear gasps and murmurs around me. I could feel the bodies around me shift in their position. I opened my eyes to look into Rick's. Is it true, Alice? He asked. I nodded as Lucian smiled smugly. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.